This is my next project, to drop these dead poplar trees here, because I would rather drop them where I want them, rather than have them drop where they drop. You can see I already dropped one here. I dropped one here and one over here. The catch is to figure out which way that you want the tree to fall. Hopefully this won't be on America's Most Funniest Videos, but you got to take into consideration which way the tree is leaning and where you want it to fall. So I got the notch. You take a notch and you cut it on an angle through here, and then you cut one down through here, okay? And my chainsaw broke that I borrowed, and I'm going to cut it approximately right through here, which would be about halfway, and then you come around on the other side and cut on the other side. Hopefully, where I hope to drop this tree, is right through here. So we'll see exactly how close I come. I think I might end up hitting this apple tree. But just as long as it don't come back over here and hit the neighbor's house. Excuse me for going so fast. I have a habit of doing that. So we'll see if I can remember my old lumberjack skills that I did while I was in the woods. I was working for a sawmill, and people would have trees they'd want to get cut down, and they would call us, and we would come over there and remove the tree, and in exchange for having the wood, of which we sawed it up and made pallets out of it. So we'll see what happens. A friend of mine wants to see me drop this tree, and if it's a disaster, he'll probably laugh, but I won't. So we'll see what happens. Okay, there's the victim, I hope. And one thing you got to remember is that when you're falling a tree, never stand behind it, because sometimes when a tree falls down, it'll go backwards. And in Michigan, we call that stump jack. I don't know what they call it out in Oregon or other places, but in Michigan it's called a stump jack. And so that tree will go down, and the trunk will go up in the air, and if you're standing right behind it, it'll hit you in the chest and break every bone in your chest, and you could end up being dead. So that's one thing to consider before you try something like this. Now you can see the notch I cut right there. So I'm going to come right back here and cut right here. Okay. Well, it didn't fall where I wanted to, but it didn't hit anything. Well, you see, when you're out in the woods, nobody's around, so if it don't fall exactly where you want it, I mean, big deal. But I think if the tree trunk had been a little straighter, plus if I had cut my notches a little bit better instead of on an angle, it might have fallen where I want. But this next tree, the trunk is really straighter. So I'm going to take a photo or video. Okay, now I got this one notched right over here, and hopefully this one will fall here. But we'll have to see. So now I'm gonna cut right straight here, and we'll see what happens. As if anybody's around, but if you want to know, does the tree make a sound when nobody's around, when it falls? The answer is yes. Well, the next process is to delimb the tree, and I have a little interesting story. The guy I worked for in the sawmill, he wore this jungle hat. So like on Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And the unusual thing about his hat is that it had this slot right in the center of it. And one day I said, "Hey Frank, can you tell me what happened to your jungle hat? What happened to your hard hat?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I was on top of this here log, and I was cutting limbs off the tree to delimb it, and all of a sudden I slipped, fell on my back, the chainsaw came back over my head, went through my hard hat but not my head." And he says, "That's my lucky hat. I don't go anywhere without it," and he never did. The guy's dead now, and irrespective of his lumbering business, he died of old age, okay? But alright, this is all I got left of that tree. The reason why it fell crooked is because the other saw kind of quit on me, and I didn't get a chance to saw it correctly. You can see how squee-hard it is, and had no choice but to go where it went. But that's all that's left there. And this here This tree fell basically exactly where I wanted it, but you can see I got a much better cut there. So I'm going to delimb this as soon as I get done with that. Right now I'm waiting for the chainsaw and the bar to cool down a little bit, because this is poplar wood, and poplar is really strange. It's really tough to cut, but it don't last worth anything on a campfire. And so I may have a campfire tonight. This is close to the middle of October in Michigan. You never know what it's going to do.
Alone together beyond